let's take a trip to the other side of the northwest, and talk about what's been happening in Manchester, my property in Manchester. Just to catch up the background on where I'm at now, where I came from with my property in Manchester. So January last year, the refurb completed. I've actually purchased this property at auction back end of 2022 now, okay? Purchased at auction, and I was using the BRRR, that's buy, refurbish, refinance. Buy, refurbish, rent, refinance. I always get it wrong. So I refurbed it. The refurb finished beginning of this year in January, and they handed it over to me. Box fresh, everything was new. And whilst I was looking for a tenant, so I handed it over to the letting agent. And whilst I was looking for a tenant, whilst it was empty, some damp patches started to appear in the hallway and in the living room, okay? And what it looked like was basically patches on the wall that were wet to the touch. So the letting agent said to me, okay, let's get a handyman round to take a look at this, because it's obviously an issue. You can't let out a property with damp in the rooms, in the hallway and the living room. So handyman came in and he had a look and he said, hey, look, I think this is down to blocked guttering, okay? The guttering that drains off, that comes, you know, as water comes off of the roof, it goes into guttering and it gets drained away. So handyman said, this is it. So he said, let me unblock the guttering and then we'll give the walls time to dry, and that should clear the issue. So cleared the guttering and the issue went away. Moved my tenants in February last year. Everything was fine for a good, 6 months until August. And then an email comes with some horrible pics, guys. Horrible pics. There was damp in the hallway, in the living room, in the dining room, hallway stairs. Letting agent said we need to do a damp survey because it's come back and it's in more places, it's everywhere. So damp survey came back and they found rising damp, which is basically where water penetrates the outside bricks and causes them to spool, which is basically to crumble away and rises upwards. Also had penetrating damp, okay, where water once again comes in from the outside to the inside, so the walls are wet to the touch on the inside, and condensation because there was elevated readings of moisture in various rooms of the house. So I was like, crap, this is not good. So they did all of that and they're very thorough in their investigations, and they quoted for treating the rising damp at the back of the house. Basically they were going to treat the bricks, install basically a damp proof course, which is about 1 or 2 feet of specialized replacement bricks that are treated with a substance that prevents them from holding water over the long term, so they stay dry, okay, whereas before they were just absorbing moisture and spalling and crumbling, okay. They also are going to paint those bricks with a special coating called Storm Dry and Sikaflex, which again, you know, is waterproof or prevents them from holding moisture. And then on the inside, where the penetrated damp had come in the various rooms, they needed to remove the plaster on those walls because it'd come all the way through the bricks and the plaster, and they call that tanking. Then the bricks behind the plasterboard were going to be injected with damp-proof substance once again. They was going to apply a waterproof membrane and then put on new plasterboard and replaster. That came to £4,200, guys. And I made a video on that back end of last year, so you can watch that for more details. So that was August, and I was like, okay, wow, that was a big hit, man. I didn't need that hit, but luckily I'd been saving over the years. I'd kept a fund for repairs and maintenance. Came to November, and then I get another email, okay? And I'm just reading the email verbatim. It said that damp contractors returned to the property to investigate the work that they did back in August. And they were hopeful that when they did the original damp survey that it was just condensation that would dry up. However, it appears that it was a mix of rising damp and condensation. And they noticed that the hallway on the opposite side to where they treated previously was still wet. The total area was 2.5 square meters, so not very big, but it requires tanking as well. And that's where they take off the plasterboard, the plaster, and go to the bricks, treat it, and then do the replastering all over again. Cost of this is £500, and they also observed that the kitchen would be a good idea to install a fan in the kitchen The kitchen is on the ground floor where the dining room, reception room and hallway are, where the majority of the damp had occurred. So it was a good idea to install a fan in the kitchen, £550. So basically an extra £1,000 to treat hopefully the last of this issue as it relates to damp. Horrible issue, guys. What have I learned from this? Okay, so what I've learned is that a survey is key when you're buying a property. And I've explained why I didn't get a survey on this property. The reason why I didn't is because I bought this property at auction. And in order to do a survey, a full proper survey of a home takes 2 hours upwards. Now with an auction property, they only give you slots of half an hour to view the property, to do anything, right? So even if you wanted to get a survey done and you was interested in buying it at auction, they're only going to give you half an hour for that. So you can't do a survey basically. And that is part of the risk of buying a property at auction. There's always a risk that you're going to find stuff that you wouldn't necessarily pick up on in the space of a half an hour viewing, okay? So does that mean I would never buy at auction again? No, but I would probably lean more towards properties that are newer. I'd probably take a builder or a handyman with me. Not that a builder or a handyman are experts at spotting stuff like damp and then condensation, etc. But I would take some sort of tradesman with me, okay, to be able to spot this stuff that I, obviously being new as my first ever auction property purchase, that, you know, I'm not an expert. I wasn't adept then at spotting this stuff. I've learned to spot it on the outside. I know what spalling looks like now. I know what damp smells like now. I know where to look, but I'm still not an expert. So I would take a professional with me if I was going to buy at auction again. But I can't see myself personally, and I never say never, but I'm not looking to buy at auction anytime soon. So I'm, as I have done recently, my property in Hull, looking to buy properties on the open market where I can get in and do a survey, all that good stuff. And my key learning is to get a survey done, not a valuation. A valuation is good, that needs to be done as well. Not just a valuation, should I say, but a survey done, because that gives you a report on the condition of the house and would, hopefully, you'd expect it to pick up on stuff like that. And then also my other key learning, guys, is to put aside money monthly for repairs in a reserve fund. You know, that saved my life in this scenario, and it will do again at some point in the future, okay? This is part and parcel of owning property, of being in property investing. You're always going to have repairs and maintenance, sometimes more expensive, more significant, more comprehensive than others. You know, up until now, my repairs have been like, you know, fixing an intercom, plumbing issues around like the toilet and dishwashers. That's really it, you know, and each time less than £200, relatively cheap to fix. And then all of a sudden £5,200, you know. You can't really plan or legislate for these, you know, in terms of when and what appears. All you can do is just be ready when they do. So guys, that is an update on Manchester. Pray for me that there are no other issues with this property. I really think, well, I don't think, I believe, I know the true return on this property has come from the refurb that I did. Made just under 25k from the refurb using the BRRRR method. The return in terms of rent has been eaten up, okay? It's been eaten up by these repairs as it relates to damp. I think going forwards, I will see that return, a healthy return. But, you know, thankfully, the strategy that I chose has meant that the return that I've gotten has come from the refurb and raising the value of the house, rather than me solely relying on the rent, which has been eaten up in the last 12 months. Thank you for watching. This year I'm making a video every month to answer any questions that you have for me. So whether you want to know whether you should invest in a limited company or in your own name, whether you should buy a flat or a house, what is the best way to get started in property, or who my barber is, just let me know. You can ask me in the comment section below, on Instagram, on TikTok, and I'll make a video dedicated to your questions. Like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.